Hi guys, it's Emily from Novel Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my April wrap up part 1. Now, hopefully this will be one of the last videos you'll see where the children are in it again because it's still the Easter holidays and they're driving me crazy and I have to get this filmed because it's due to be. I'm filming it the day before it's going to come up. Now guys, I also use my videos a bit of an update, see how I'm doing, fill you in all in on what's going on. Now, currently, I'm finally trying to come off my last tablets. It's called amitriptyline, and it is a medication for my knee. And I'll be honest, I'm finding it hard. I am coming to the end of the first week of trying to come off it, and the withdrawal symptoms suck. I feel sick, I feel tired, I can't concentrate as well. And I think it's affecting my reading slightly. It's certainly affecting me because I'm going slightly doolally. I'm not getting enough sleep and feeling a bit rough, but I want to come off this. I want to be able to drink again. I want to be not reliant on anything other than my remote. So please bear with me if I don't read as much, and bear with me if it may affect my scheduling if I find it really hard. But I'm going to try and use BookTube as my escape and use my books as my help, which I love. Now, I'll be honest with you, this month is not going well. It's not like March. It is not going well at all. I've probably not helped that I've got about 9 or 10 books on the go that I'm reading every day, or that I'm getting through, that are all being currently read. I'll explain that in a minute. But my ratings are not very good. I'll be honest, I've only got 2 5-stars, so it won't take you much guessing of which one's my favourite one of the month. It's like going to be like a 50-50 bet. But there are some good books. There's been some seriously bad ones, and I've got quite a lot on the go. But let's get down to it. So I'm currently reading Dr. Thorne over 2 months. It's my next Anthony Trollope book. And, God, sorry about the kids. And I'm really enjoying this. This is really good. To me, it's not quite as good as the Barchester Towers at the moment, the Barchester Chronicles at the moment. But it's good. It's all right. So I'm reading. The good thing with this is we've got a certain number of chapters to read per month, or per sort of set couple of weeks. And so I don't have to read this every day if I don't want to. I read sort of a chunk of it. Chunk of the chapters, then I'll do another chunk of the next ones. But I am enjoying this. This could potentially be a good 3 or 4 stars, and I'm only on the first quarter of it, so that's not bad. And I really don't know whether I'm going to read them. Then I've got, actually I'll save that one for a minute. So I've also got this one, East of Eden, which I'm reading over 2 months. So these two are my 2 over 2 months. East of Eden is, I've only got to read 10 pages a day, so I'm probably reading that like twice a week and going like 30 or 40 pages twice a week because it's just so easy to fly through. East of Eden by John Steinbeck is an amazing book. It's dark. There's a lady in this called Kathy who is the ultimate villainess. She is like one of the worst villains going, worse but best worse, if that makes sense. She's, oh my God. It's mainly around 2 brothers, Adam and Charles, and it's Kathy. It's just so good. I don't want to give spoilers, but this is such a good book, and I thoroughly recommend it to everybody. I fly through this. I'm filming this on the Thursday, and I finished this week's pages yesterday. It was just so easy. I wanted to get to them. Couldn't stop reading. Thoroughly loving this. I'm reading this with the lovely Ange from Ange's Books Chatter, Danny from Spinelli Speaks, and Laura's from Laura's Book Blah Blah. And they're lovely ladies. I'm loving buddy reading with them. So that's potentially going to be a 5 stars. Already I'm a quarter of the way through and it's already got the potential to be 5 stars. It's so flipping good. It's amazing. Then my next book that I'm reading over the course of the 2 months is Little Dorrit. So this we're reading 20 pages a day. So again, I'm doing it in 3 chunks really to try and get the 20 pages a day, so that's 140 pages a month, a week. So I'm trying to get this done in 3 slots. I'm going to try and get the rest of the week's pages finished today if I can, because I'm working tomorrow, so the working the day this goes up. And this is Little Dorrit, which is by Charles Dickens. I'm buddy reading with the lovely Gemma from Read a Book Gem. This is far better than Our Mutual Friend in my opinion. I'm liking this a lot more. I love Little Dorrit's character. There is not too many characters, so I don't get too lost, and I'm loving this. Don't know about the star rating on this yet, but it's at the moment I would say it's 4, but I'm really enjoying that. Then the book that I expect to finish this month is The Brontes by Juliet Barker, which I'm buddy reading with Tori from Hufflepuff Discovery. We have got, so I'm on page 658, and to get to the notes, we have only got not too many pages left, I think. So I think this should be finished by the end of April. I'm looking, sorry guys, normally I'm organised. So yeah, we've got less than 200 pages to go, and we're reading 10 pages a day on this. So there's a good chance I should be able to finish this by the end of the month, if not the very start of May. But I'm going to try, hopefully, and get this finished, because I'm loving this. This is a brilliant tale. It talks about all the Brontes. I've had some emotional bits in this, because when obviously Charlotte, in one chapter, I think you lose Charlotte and, no, Emily, Anna and die. And the one before that, Bramwell dies. And oh my God, it's like the most emotional chapters ever. I have cried. I really have cried in this book. I've laughed in this book. It's changed my rating. I might even do a thorough book review on this because it's that good. I might do a separate video for this book. I'm still thinking that Anne's my favourite Bronte, because obviously she just died, so it probably will stay that Anne is my favourite Bronte and Charlotte's my least favourite, and it's really changed things. I've learnt so much more, and I love this book. Love it, love it, love it. Then my books that I'm reading daily. So I've got The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, which I'm buddy reading with Charlie from Charles Heathcote. We are over halfway through this, and before the end of the month, we're reading about 30 pages a day of this. I'm loving this. There are some bits that are triggers, and some bits which will affect its star rating. It can't be a 5-star because of certain aspects in this that are a bit triggery, but it's very good. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It's a lot faster paced than I thought it was going to be. Reading 30 pages a day makes it even better, because I can really absorb each pages, because it's mainly centred around grief and the way it affects your life. This boy's like 13 when his mum gets killed at the very start of the book, and it's very, very interesting, and I thoroughly love it. It's one that I'm so glad I read, and I wouldn't have read it if I wasn't reading it with Charlie. Charlie from Charles Heathcote is brilliant to buddy read, because the way he finds things in the book that I'm not even seeing, or we'll discuss things, and the discussions we're having on this book is absolutely incredible. I know Charlie doesn't like being told he's a nice guy, but he is. And I love buddy reading with him, and I hope this is the start of many buddy reads, because he is great to read with. His opinion on this, reading this together, is making it amazing. I love it. Then the last of my buddy reads, finally, is Blackberry and Wild Rose, which I'm buddy reading with Gemma as well. I am I'm at 147, so I'm not even halfway through. By the end of today, I'll be nearly halfway through. This is historical fiction set in the 1700s. It's about two leading characters, Esther Thorell and her servant, Sarah Kemp, and they're very different backgrounds, and they're very different, and it alternates chapters on the two leading characters, and they'll take on. It tackles class, it's tackling quite a few things, and it's blooming good. I picked this up last year because of Julie from Hungry Bookworm, and it's one that I'm so glad I'm reading, and it's another, this potentially is a 5-star. It's amazing, brilliant read, and I love it. So by the end of the month, I'm going to have two definites, either 4 or 5 stars, because 2 of them are just, and if obviously I get the Brontes finished, that'll be 5. That I'll be honest, that's going to be 5 stars. It's amazing. I'm lending it, either lending it or giving it to Gemma, because she will love it. It's an amazing book. Thoroughly recommend it. Now, I'm also currently halfway through this, which is Catherine Howard, The Tainted Queen. If I got time today, I'd finish it today, but I know that I've got a busy day ahead of me. And this is about another queen that I do not know much about. And boy, now do I see why she gets killed at the end of this. Because this is really, you can see the different side. She is a right little floozy. At the start, I felt for her. She loses her mum when she's a child, and she gets moved from house to house. She has a rough upbringing, but she uses her looks to her advantages in this book, and what a little flirt. I'm not surprised she's a naughty girl. So I'm thoroughly loving this. This is a book that I picked up earlier than I planned to, because of my knee and because of how the withdrawal symptoms were going. I needed a book that I knew I would love. And this is my 3rd 5-star. This will be 5 stars. It would be a miracle if it isn't. Thoroughly loving it. 5 stars all the way. So yeah, that's not bad. So there's 2 5-stars out of this. Then another one that's again, so another 3 5-stars. This is going to top it. The second half's got potential. This is Paper Aeroplanes by Dawn Porter. I started this at bedtime last night. It's an extra book, not on my TBR, because there's one more book that I've got off my TBR that I need to read, but that's a thriller, so I won't read that at bedtime. And this is amazing. I only picked this up last night and I read 84 pages. I was reading into like nearly 11 o'clock at night because it was so good. It's a YA book by Dawn Porter. I'm now going to pick up all of her books because I'm nearly halfway through it in the first night. And it's set in 1994. It's about 2 best friends. It's a short but sweet book and I'm thoroughly loving it. This will be 5 stars all the way. That'll be again a miracle. Then, to top it off, I've got an ebook. I know I haven't started my ebook yet. I've read an ebook, but I'm also listening to an audiobook of Beautiful, which is by Katie Piper. This is the first of her autobiographies about her life before she gets maimed and put her acid. And we're learning about what happened to her when she had the tragic abuse that she had, and she went through. I've hit a point where she's having domestic abuse at the moment, and it's very hard hitting. There is triggers for rape and abuse. And then obviously we know that she's going to get splashed by acid in her face, and it's going to be a very hard hitting book. But I've got the second book by her on physical format, so I wanted to read the audiobook, listen to the audiobook so that I had that behind me. And again, that's very good, but I don't know how I'm going to rate it because it's non-fiction, and I find non-fiction books very hard to rate. Do the rest of you guys feel like that? Do you feel like you can't judge someone's own opinions and what their own experience is, especially with autobiographies? So I don't know whether I'll rate it or give it a higher one. I don't know. I really don't know what I'm going to do with that, but it's really good. So as you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 books on the go. You wonder why I'm struggling this month. Yeah, I am alternating my days, but I'm struggling. Now to the books that I've read and that have been read and rated. And I will not take too long because we're already on 12 minutes. So I've got my Boo Boo book of the month. 2 stars, Straight On Till Morning by Liz Braswell. I was given this by the lovely Chloe, and as a cheer up present because of what happened to my cat dying. And it's my second Twisted Tale book. The first Twisted Tale book I was Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I loved it. This was crap. Put it bluntly, crap. It's a Peter Pan retelling, but it's not a retelling. It's more like a sequel slash not linking in too much to the first book. Because we don't see Peter Pan very much in this. It's mainly about Wendy. It is strange, it's weird, it's got like a really weird take on Hook, and I didn't understand it. There's not very many characters that I know. Tinkerbell's in it quite a lot, but this is weird. I did not like this, and this is very much slow paced. I'm bored silly throughout it. If I wasn't budgie reading it, I must have been, even I would have given it in. And what annoys me is it started off well. That's why it's got 2 stars rather than 1, because it started off really well. Thought it's a different take. The pace at the start was really interesting. I thought, what's going to happen? In fact, Wendy's changed. It's a few years on from when she was in Neverland. I thought, oh, this could be good. No, it goes downhill. The ending again is all right, but it's not brilliant. I didn't understand it. Didn't great. 2 stars. It's one of my first books that I've ever been gifted that I am giving to a charity shop. But if any of you else want it, let me know. But yeah, I said to Chloe, do you mind if I charity shop this? Because I didn't like it and I don't want to keep it on my shelves. So, charity shop was my first one of the month. Then I've got 2 3 stars. This is 3 stars, but a good 3 stars, and that's Amanda's Wedding by Jenny Colgan. It's Jenny Colgan's first book, so I'm not going to discredit her. It's set in the early 2000s. It's about Amanda's old school friends can't believe it when social climbing queen pulls off the ultimate publicity stunt and getting herself engaged to a Scottish laird, Brazen McCullough. But it's not about Amanda's story really, it's about her friends Mel and Fran. It's mainly centred around Fran. Very cheeky, comforty, contemporary romance. You know who she's going to end up with. Actually, I didn't, I'll be honest. Because it turned around at the end and she ended up with someone that I didn't think she would. But then it was clues to going that way in the end. It's really weird. But it was a good one. It's a nice, cosy, relaxing, funny, contemporary. But just a very average 3 stars. It's not one of her better ones, but it's a good one. So that's another charity shop. Then one I had a bit of high hopes for. And again, I don't know if I can rate this. This is Springtime Stories by Lee Blyton. My sister gave me this. She gave me this and the Summertime Stories. I'll be honest, I've already unhauled the Summertime Stories because there's middle grade and then there's seriously middle grade. I don't even think my 9-year-old would like this. I think it's too young for even her. So I can't really rate it. Yes, I put 3 stars. And that's because there are some funny short stories in this and there's some very boring. So it's all right. But I would probably say this is aimed more like 6-7-year-olds because I think Thomas might like some of the shorter stories if he had the concentration to sit down. But it's all right, not great. But let's go into the charity shop. Then I got my extra pick, the Dandelion Years. This is 3.5 stars. So this was good. This was a better good. It's nearly 4 stars, but not quite there. It's got dual timelines, so it's got 1943 and it's got the present day. And it's we start off with Saskia, who whose mother and grandmothers both die at the very start. Die when she's younger, and she lives with her dad and her granddad. And this is her story, and she goes to a house, and she's a bookbinder, so obviously there's book references in this, which is what helped it have the extra stars, because any comments to books, you know I'm going to love it. This is good. Erica James is a good reader. And then she finds a book. Saskia finds a book that is hidden inside a book, and it's another story, another romance, and they're trying to guess who it's about and what it's about and what the end bit is, and it's very emotional, very good. The one I thoroughly recommend, but not one I will read. It's good. Then we've got The Muse, which was my TBR jar pick of the month. This was alright. I preferred The Miniaturist, if I'm honest. The Muse is nowhere near as good. It's on a hot day in 1967, Adele Bastien climbs the stone steps of Skelton Gallery in London, hoping for a lot to change. And this is like dual timelines. It's all right, but to me, it's not the best of Jessie Burton's books. I much preferred The Confessions and The Miniaturist, but I'm glad I read it. It's all right, but 3.5 stars. Now I got my 4 stars. So they're not doing too bad again. So we've got The Railway Children, which is my children's classic. I won't be reading this. It's a lovely book, set in wartime. Not in wartime, it's set even before that. And it's about 3 siblings who have to abandon their rich life and go and live in the country along the railway line and become railway children. And it's a sweet, cute story, but just sort of 4 stars. Again, I can't really rate that, but it's not one I'm going to keep. I'm going to learn not to keep all my kiddie books because Mia's not going to read the children's classics, and if I'm not going to reread them, I'm not going to keep them. Then I've got my other contemporary book which I wanted, which is this is actually a 4 stars for a contemporary. It's a lot better. It's one of my Lisa Jules contemporaries, so it's one of her earlier stories. Looking back, I'm thinking it's more of a 3.5 stars rather than 4. But it's about Leo and Toby, who've lived across the street from each other for years without meeting. And Toby lives in 31 Dream Street with lots of lodgers. And it's about how he develops when he starts to learn that he wants to change things around and come out of his shell. And it's about his lodger's stories as well. So it is interesting. Contemporary. Good. Not one of the best. But it's, again, cosy. 4 stars. What, 3.5 or 4 stars? I'm still not sure. It's alright. Another charity shop. Then I read my In the Light of What We See, which has got paranormal. I thought it was a wartime fiction. No, it isn't. There is the ghost paranormal element. There is the scary element. At the start, I thought 3 stars. Didn't like it. Then it got good. It tackles abuse. It tackles sex abuse. There's quite a few triggers. Let me know if you want to know them. Sorry, I was remembering what Olivia said about the not telling triggers and stuff. So, yeah. But this is set in dual timelines. Brighton, 1938. Grace Kemp is pushed from the family she was shamed. And then 80 years, and she ends up working at a hospital. 80 years later, Mina Morgan is brought to the same hospital after a near-fatal car crash. She's in terrible pain but can recall nothing. This is good. Far scarier than I thought it was going to be. And actually, as it got in, I read it within about 24 to 48 hours. I flew through it because I wanted to know what the hell happened and if Mina would guess who the baddie was. And oh my god, there is some really good bits in this. It was good, but it's not one I'm going to keep because it scared the bejeebers out of me. Then the last of my 4 stars, I think, is The King's Curse, which you guys know It's about this, but this one is more about the plantation Margaret Pole. So she is the niece of King on the Edward ones, sorry, and she had a lot more prominent place, and had the War of the Roses gone differently, she would have been a princess, but she got treated really badly. And this is her story, and she is like the cousin to the King Henry VIII and King Henry VIII's mother. She's the cousin of King Henry VIII's mother, and this is her story, and God, is this hard-hitting, and God, is this emotional. It's not one of the best of the Plantation series, but it's good, and it's very hard-hitting and very long. How I read it so quickly, I don't know, but that's because I think I'm loving the series. Then the next two 4.5 stars I don't have with me. One is the audiobook, and that was Love Your Life by Sophie Kinsella. I got that miraculously very quickly on audiobook off of my library, and at the start I was like, this is slow, not gonna like it, and then God, did it pick up pace. It is a brilliant contemporary book. Not one I would buy full price, although thinking about it I don't know, because I know Linda was like, it's not one of her best, but it's not one of her worst, and it got really good at the end, and I wasn't sure what to rate it, so it's like, I'm borderline wanting, if I see it in a charity shop, I might buy my own copy of it, because it is good. And it's a very much of, they meet, and these people meet on a retreat, and they have perfect, they think they can just fall in love and it's all going to go well, and all roses and that, and then they discover that the more they get to know each other, that it's not all perfect. But there is some great disability rep in it, which I wasn't expecting, and I loved the disability rep in it. I loved it, which is what upped it in my opinion. It's really good. Then I also finished on an ebook, The Secret GP by Matt Skittle, and that was really interesting. And again, it was 4 stars until the end, and then you added the bit about COVID at the end in the prologue, and oh my goodness, in the epilogue, sorry, and it was just good, and I got really emotional, and it was a really good story about a GP and his life. The reason why it's 4 stars is some of the stories, obviously you think, oh, we're a bit more bland, but then he saw some of his success stories and how he reacted and how life as a GP is, and I thought, I admire that guy. I admire all the medical professionals. So that was good. Now I've got my 2 4 stars. Which one are you going to think is going to be my 2 5 stars? Which one do you think is going to be my favourite? First one is Checkmate by Marjorie Blackman. It is the 3rd or 4th in the series, so I can't tell you too much about it. It's about Callie Rose, who is a cross mother and a naught father. This is basically her story, her mother's story, her uncle's story, and then her grandparents' story, all kind of mixed in. Can't tell you too much about it because it is obviously 3rd in the series. Flip me, it's good. It is like a roller coaster ride. I flew through it. Loved it from start to finish. Brilliant book. Then lastly, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which I was given by the lovely Ange from Angie's Book Chatter, and I didn't know if I'd like this because it's sort of, you go to a coffee, you sit at a table, you've got to drink the coffee. You can go to any place in time and meet someone, but you've got to be back before your coffee gets cold, or you will stay like a ghosty kind of thing. And this has got three sort of stories, short stories within it. So it's got the sister, the husband and the wife, and the lovers. Oh my God, this is emotional. For such a short book, it's so emotional, so powerful. Got me thinking about, if I could go back, who would I see? If I could go back, I'd see my nan. I dreamt about her last night actually, which is really, if you could go back, who would you want to meet? Sorry, I'm just reading this and feeling really emotional because I just remembered the dream I had last night. And I saw my nan and we chatted and she said she was proud of me. I'd like to think she was. Let's think she would be all right with what I've done and what decisions I've made. But yeah, definitely one that pulls on heartstrings and makes you emotional. Thoroughly loved it. Now, give you a couple of seconds to think. Actually, it's Checkmate, because Checkmate to me was my favourite, because even though Before the Coffee Gets Cold is good, and like I said, it's just got me tearful, it just gets slightly picked because of Checkmate, because Checkmate's obviously got a real roller coaster and it gives you all the emotions, the tears, the laughter, the emotions, and it's thoroughly amazing, and it's a series that I'm so glad I've got. But this month's not been great, but it's actually the second half, believe it or not. Normally the second half I don't do as well, but I'm taking Charlie from Charles Heathcote's advice. I'm going to pick books for the second half that I want to read, that are what perfect for matching my moods at the moment. So I'm going to be really specific, really picking books off my shelves that I want. And I've got some up there already that I'm deciding that I think I want and need. So I'm going to be a bit more careful, a bit more cautious, and go with books that suit me at the moment. But let me know in the comments below, what's your favourite book of the month so far? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and not subscribed yet, ring on my ding-a-ling, and I'll see you all soon.